Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are completely unpacking the legacy of Robert Trent Jones Sr., the absolute mastermind who reshaped global championship golf. We so often think of golf as just naturally rolling hills and untouched landscapes, right? But the truth is, the modern game was fiercely, intentionally engineered by this one incredible visionary.
500 plus. Let that sink in for a second. That is the staggering number of global courses designed by this single architect. It's honestly almost hard to comprehend the sheer volume of that output. We aren't talking about sketching out a few local parks. Actually, scratch that. It's more like he was literally shaping the very earth in hundreds of locations all across the globe to create elite championship-level venues. His geographic footprint is just unparalleled. He laid the groundwork for the modern game, country by country, continent by continent.
So it really brings up this fascinating question, doesn't it? How did one engineer take a traditional, almost quiet game and transform it into a massive global television spectacle? Well, that's exactly the journey we're going on today. It's absolutely crucial to understand that Jones approached the game not just as a guy who liked golf, but with the intensely analytical, structural mind of an engineer. He'd look at a plot of raw land and see this giant, complex puzzle of angles, elevations, and sightlines.
To really get a handle on his impact, we have to look at his global engineering vision. He wasn't out there just loosely throwing down some grass seed. Jones was famous for taking on these massive topographical challenges that other people thought were literally impossible. For instance, if he was designing a notoriously difficult terrain, he wouldn't even hesitate to order the movement of hundreds of thousands of cubic yards of earth. Or he'd dynamically reroute natural water flows just to get the drainage right. He envisioned how to carve a masterpiece out of a dense, unyielding forest or a rocky coastline, making sure the infrastructure could support huge crowds and major international tournaments. He was basically building massive arenas, just disguised as nature.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this concept right here is the absolute heartbeat of his legacy. Strenuous par. This was his core design philosophy. Jones believed that a par should never, ever just be handed to you. It demands the highest possible levels of strategy and precision from elite players. He fundamentally changed what we expect from the game, actively designing holes to be a punishing, true test of skill. You literally had to think your way through his courses, constantly calculating risk and reward on every single swing, knowing full well that any lapse in concentration was going to be heavily penalized.
What's wild to me is the intense contrast in his designs. On the one hand, you have this stunning aesthetic beauty. You look at a Robert Trent Jones Sr. course and it is visually breathtaking, right? Lush, sweeping, just idyllic. But directly opposed to all that beauty is this brutally demanding strategy and precision. He perfectly balanced gorgeous scenery with a highly exacting challenge. The beauty actually masks the danger. A perfectly placed, glass-like lake reflecting the sky isn't just there for a nice photo op, it's a highly calculated hazard demanding absolute mastery from the golfer.
So how do you actually build that punishing philosophy into the earth? To pull off that balance of beauty and punishment, Jones needed specific tools. And he didn't use steel and concrete to challenge athletes. His materials were water, elevation, and sand. He turned the natural environment into a literal arsenal, completely designed to test every single facet of a player's physical and mental game.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what those weapons looked like out on the grass. First up, he relied heavily on heroic carries. This is when a golfer is forced to hit the ball directly over a massive hazard, like a huge body of water or a deep ravine, just to reach safety. It's totally do or die. Then you've got his heavily sculpted bunkers. We're not talking about flat, boring pits of sand here. These were deep, intimidating, intricately shaped traps just waiting to swallow an errant ball. Together, these elements created what the source material calls ultimate tests of courage. He was using the earth itself as a psychological weapon, daring the golfer to take the risky shot.
Let's ground all this theory in reality for a second and look at a couple of iconic locations that are just perfect examples of his signature style. Take Spyglass Hill. If you know golf, you definitely know this name. It's described as a total masterpiece of strategy and precision, forcing players to navigate incredibly tight corridors and read the landscape flawlessly. And then there's Hazeltine National. That is a championship venue explicitly built to test elite courage. It's long, it's demanding, and it heavily features those heroic carries we just talked about. When the best players in the world step onto these courses, they know for a fact they're facing the ultimate exam, courtesy of Mr. Jones.
Now, here is where his legacy connects right back to you, sitting on your couch watching on a Sunday. His designs were beautifully, almost perfectly timed for the rise of the television era. The dramatic, high-stakes golf that we all watch on TV today, that is a direct result of his visionary timing. Think about it.
Television needs drama, right? It needs spectacular visuals and moments of incredible tension. Because Jones was designing these courses with massive carries over water and striking deep bunkers, it just popped on screen. The beauty drew the viewer in, and the demanding strategy created those nail-biting, dramatic moments that hooked audiences worldwide.
So if we trace this whole thing back, it really built up in 3 incredible steps. Step 1, it all started with that solid engineering foundation. Without his ability to manipulate the Earth on a massive scale, none of this happens. Step 2, the rise of the television era. His visually spectacular, intensely demanding courses met the brand new medium of TV perfectly, beaming the drama right into millions of living rooms. Which leads us perfectly to step 3. The sport becomes a premier international spectacle. Golf wasn't just a quiet country club game anymore. Thanks to the synergy between his dramatic designs and TV broadcasting, it became a massive global event.
You know, as the game grew, the athletes obviously got way stronger and the equipment got much better. But Jones adapted. This quote from the text captures it perfectly. He evolved alongside the modern game while maintaining fairness for all. I really want to highlight that word, fairness. Despite the immense, grueling difficulty of his strenuous par, his ultimate goal was never to just trick or unfairly punish the golfer. He wanted to challenge them, absolutely, but reward a perfectly executed shot. He made sure that as the sport modernized, his courses remained incredibly tough, but fundamentally fair.
Which brings us to a final thought for us to chew on today. Golf technology right now is vastly different than it was decades ago. Players are hitting the ball further and harder than ever before. So, I leave you with this question. As the modern game continues to evolve, do today's courses still demand the courage of a strenuous par? Has the true spirit of Robert Trent Jones Sr.'s ultimate test of strategy survived this modern era of power golf? It's definitely a fascinating lens to look through next time you're watching a tournament. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this deep dive gave you a whole new appreciation for the hidden architecture of the game. Keep asking those great questions, and I'll see you next time.